today's video, we're going to go over 13 things that make your martial arts style or your martial arts training legit. I'm Master Jonathan Field, the owner and master instructor here at Cobourg Tae Kwon Do, as well as the founder of Team Wolverine and co-founder of Empowered. Again, in today's video, we're going to go over 13 things that makes a martial arts style legit. Because a lot of times people are thinking that they're training in legit martial art or they're training legit, when in reality they're not. So let's go ahead and start with number one. The first thing we want to look at is your martial arts style or martial arts training, including strength and conditioning, both mentally and physically, especially physically. Old school martial art incorporate a lot of strength and conditioning exercises to make your practitioner or student and master instructors to make them stronger, have better endurance, make them quicker, have more power. So, are you training in a style that is going to make you stronger, fitter, faster, and more proficient at your style? The second thing that we're going to look at is, does your martial arts style or your training include striking? Striking is obviously one of the fundamentals of martial arts. And it's actually one of the most important part of martial arts as far as physicality goes. You want to be able to strike with your hands, strike with your elbow, use your kick, use your knee, headbutt when it comes to self-defense. Do you train how to strike proficiently as well as strike the appropriate target on the human body with the appropriate weapons? So are you using your fist properly, are you using your palm properly, your elbow, your knee, your kick? Are you learning to use strength properly in your system? The third thing we're going to look at, are you training takedown in your martial arts system or in your training? Like, in case your other tools fail, like your striking and some of the other physical tools that you have, say you're failing, do you have the ability to take down your assailant or attacker or opponent so that you can create an opportunity to escape or further the situation to the ground? But we always recommend, once we take somebody down, and if the opportunity presents itself, is to vacate the situation as quickly as possible from a self-defense standpoint. Because the longer you stay in the situation, the greater chances of you getting hurt or worse increases dramatically. So are you training your takedowns? The fourth thing that we're going to talk about is submission or stand-up joint loss, joint manipulation, and choke. Basically anything that you can settle somebody down and control them, or perhaps make them tap out under controlled circumstances versus striking. Are you training how to do wrist locks, armbar, chokes, or arm restraints would be a better word for it, and strikes or submissions along that line so that you can control the situation without necessarily hurting somebody? That's also a very important part of martial art. Are you learning how to control people with joint lock, arm restraint, and submissions? The fifth thing that we're going to talk about is, are you training stand-up grappling / wrestling? So that transitional phase when you're striking and you're about to take somebody down, or you're working a stand-up submission or joint lock and something goes wrong, are you able to control somebody, but with various flinches and holds, and either take them to the ground, or are you able to prevent somebody from taking you to the ground? It's really important to have that transitional wrestling or stand-up grappling aspect to your martial arts. It's going to help keep you safer, especially in a self-defense situation where you ultimately do not want to go to the ground. The sixth thing I want to talk about is sparring. Does your style of martial art or system have sparring? Because I know a lot of people don't like to spar, but sparring is an incredibly important aspect of martial art because it literally gets you used to people striking at you, grabbing you, taking you down, trying to put submissions on you, put joint blocks, chokes, etc. is literally pressure testing, right? You hear about pressure testing all the time, but unless you truly spar against somebody that's trying to out-sick you, and a lot of times in sparring classes, and if we're rolling, if we're grappling or wrestling, whatever, you're going against an opponent that's not necessarily trying to hurt you, just trying to get the better of you. Same with self-defense situation. In a self-defense situation, somebody would be trying to, get the better of you in a negative way. In sparring, it's more of just trying to challenge you. But if you have never felt the pressure of somebody punching at you or kicking you, or taking you down, getting on top of you, whatever, don't really practice that, you're missing out a lot of valuable in your training. And again, sparring also helps with your timing, your distancing, getting used to getting hit, how do you react, how do you respond, actually seeing what's coming at you and processing stuff in real time, and so on. So if you're not sparring, you're missing out a huge part of legitimate martial arts training. Number 7, are you training situational awareness? In martial art, we try to avoid confrontation and any type of situation where we have to physically defend ourselves, because that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is not to get into a fight. So situational awareness allows us to do so, or at least help prevent a lot of it by seeing situations before they occur. Paying attention to your surroundings, paying attention to the conversations you're having with people, and if you are getting into a confrontation, how are they responding to what you're saying, and responding to how you're acting, and body language, and knowing when something, you're escalating and you're going to try to de-escalate because you have the situational awareness to control the situation, or can you see potentially dangerous situations before they occur and make smart decisions to avoid those situations, or make decisions that will, get you out of those situations, or make decisions that allow you to see things well ahead of time, and make these decisions not to get yourself in dangerous situations. But situational awareness is extremely important. We're always talking about that with our students. What potentially could happen. You need to literally be thinking that what if, while you're in your day-to-day life. So if you're not working on that, or missing something really important, so I suggest putting that in your training. 8th thing that I want to discuss is, in your martial arts style or system, is there competition or some kind of sporting aspect? Competition is extremely important in the fact that it forces you to get better every time you train. It gives you a little bit of purpose. Now, I'm not saying you necessarily have to go to martial arts competition or martial arts tournament. A lot of times you can have friendly competition within class, whether you're sparring somebody, whether you're doing different activities where there's a little bit of competition, maybe strength and conditioning or racing, or there's also an element in martial arts where you can have a little bit of friendly competition, which forces you to get better. Now, don't forget though, the most important competition that you have, or the most important competitor, is yourself, but that's another story for another day. But the point is, does your martial arts system allow for competition or tournaments, or does it have a sports side? Like Taekwondo obviously has a traditional martial art self-defense combative side, but it also has a very big, dominant Olympic sports aspect to it. Most people look at Taekwondo, or they think about Taekwondo as an Olympic sport, and they rarely ever see the real practical, real self-defense, the real martial art. Sometimes Taekwondo gets a little bit of a bad name, but when you actually train the full spectrum of Taekwondo, you'll see that it's actually quite a complete martial art. So there is that sport aspect. Does your style or your martial arts training, is there some kind of sports aspect or competition aspect that can help you get better? The next thing I want to talk about is, does your style have, or is your style on it towards your goals? This is a little bit more subjective and a little bit more free than what I'm going to say here, and that what are you training for? Are you training for self-defense? Are you training for fitness? are you training for sport or competition, like I just mentioned? If whatever you're training, if you're training honestly, that's your goal. So if my goal is to be an Olympic champion in Taekwondo sparring, that, but yet I'm training in like more self-defense stuff, that's not gonna lie. And vice versa. If I want to learn a lot of self-defense, let's say I'm in a really bad neighborhood in the city or something like that, and we're doing a lot of gang-related stuff and whatnot, but I'm just training kicking for Olympic Taekwondo, maybe that's not the same. Or let's go with, let's say I'm training at a facility jiu-jitsu school where your main focus is competition, which a lot of them are, because a lot of the ground stuff that happens is not necessarily going to come up in self-defense, like different funky arm bars and different situations where leg locks and stuff that rarely happens in self-defense. But if you're training that, and yet you are wanting to know, self-defense may not work, right? Or let's say you join a school that's more, they didn't do a lot of conditioning, they didn't a lot of punching in the air, more like a cardio kickboxing style class, there's nothing wrong with that, and you're thinking that's going to teach you self-defense, or that's going to help you with competition. You gotta train, be honest with yourself, if your training going to get you towards the goals that you're working towards. Whatever your goal is, also, if you're just looking for fitness, do the fitness. If you're looking for competition, do the competition. If you're looking for self-defense, do the self-defense. Or, like I know here at Cobourg Tae Kwon Do, we have the competition side, we have the self-defense side, we have the physical fitness. We kind of incorporate a little everything. And the thing is, you need to do you. If you're getting what you want out of martial art, that's the best thing really, more than anything. But if you just kind of keep all that in mind. Number 10, we're getting near the end of the list here. Now, number 10 I want to discuss is there a large amount of knowledge or the ability to keep learning? How much curriculum is in the style? So, within the color belt, we tend to see, especially like Taekwondo, karate, jiu-jitsu, that, where there's a lot of curriculum within the color belt rank, like white belt, yellow, orange, green, blue is red, red is black, etc., or purple belt, brown belts, and various stripes, whatnot. And the stripes within those, there's a lot of curriculum. It seems like we're showing a lot of stuff at color belt. But once it gets to black and above, that's when black is in the Japanese Korean system, is what they say that's actually the beginning of the training when you get to black. Color belt stuff is like preparatory. Then can you train for years upon years upon years upon years and keep learning? To me, that's the beauty of what we do here at Cobourg Tae Kwon Do, at least in my own training, is I haven't stopped learning. Every week I'm learning something new, and I learn something new, I practice, I apply it to classes, and our curriculum here is always growing. We're always adding more as we learn some new techniques, new concepts, and we test them out. And if that, if we can really make it work, then we add it to our system, whether that be more strength, whether it be more joint locks, or takedowns, a little more ground self-defense that we do, or more weapon stuff, and it just keeps going on and on and on. So your system that you're training is there basically almost an unlimited amount of knowledge and training that you can get to do for years upon years. And it also, when you have that kind of like that vast amount of knowledge, it's really motivating and encouraging to, I want to learn all that, and you never really get bored in your training because you're always learning new stuff, and when you learn new stuff, a lot of times the new stuff will further reinforce the stuff that you learned previously. So, do you have the opportunity with that? The 11th thing I want to talk about is that your martial arts system or style or school teach weapons. Now, when I say weapons, that could be like, well, when is anybody going to use a bull staff in today's life, or tonfa, or common, aka sickle, or the nunchucks, or three-sectional staff, or the fire, any of the other martial art weapons out there. The point is not necessarily that you wouldn't use those weapons in everyday life nowadays, but the concept and strategies that you learn within those weapons, you can apply if you have to defend yourself and you end up picking up a stick or a piece of rope or almost anything really can be turned into a weapon. If you understand the concept and strategy behind what those weapons can do, what their strengths and weaknesses are, you can apply them to almost anything physical. But also, when you're learning weapons, you're also going to learn how to defend yourself with the weapon, but you also learn what those weapons can do so that you can defend against those weapons. So you're defending yourself with weapons, but more importantly, nowadays, most likely you're not going to have a weapon on hand if you're going to get attacked, God forbid, that you'll understand the movements and patterns of how these weapons move, and you're going to be able to better defend yourself because you've been exposed to that. So it's really not a good idea to not expose yourself to the various weapons out there. Like people trying to not expose people to firearms or not expose them to different martial arts weapons or knives or because they're too dangerous. Yeah, you should be exposing yourself in a very controlled environment so that if you find yourself in a situation where you're up against something like that, you'll be better equipped. It's always better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Alright, we got a couple more things that we're going to talk about, so we're going to move on to number 12. Okay, number 12, the second last thing that we're going to talk about here, mission-based martial arts system legit, is are you actually learning self-defense? I know we discussed a little bit earlier about whether you want to focus on self-defense, sports, and whatever, but we're just talking about self-defense here. Most people do take up martial arts because they want to learn self-defense for various reasons, but is your system actually teaching self-defense? Physical self-defense from almost every type of attack, grab, strikes, takedowns, ground chokes, weapons, but also self-defense against mental abuse, bullying, domestic violence, and so forth. Are you actually legitimately learning self-defense, or are you just practicing a bunch of moves that may or may not actually work? So, are you being pressure tested? Are you sparring? Are you practicing with a high level of resistance once you learn the technique? And are you learning techniques that, push comes to shove, anybody can do without worrying about necessarily the size of somebody or the strength of somebody? And you also have to consider the techniques that you're learning for self-defense. Will they work when you are extremely stressed out emotionally and mentally and physically? Your heart rate spikes up to 160, 170. You lost a lot of your growth motor skills. You're panicking. Will the techniques that you learned, will they work in that type of situation? So be honest about that. Alright, now we're going to go into number 13. Number 13 to me is one of the more valuable ones, and that is, does your system of martial arts, whether it be for sport, self-defense, fitness, whatever, does it have traditional martial art values and ethics of yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, mutual courtesy between you and then respect that's earned through example, teamwork, leadership skills, again, just being courteous, working cooperatively with a partner and then slowly challenge each other when both people are ready and so forth. Is there that tradition? So, whether you're training a traditional martial art like Taekwondo, karate, whether maybe for a sport one like kickboxing or boxing, no matter what you're training, there should be a certain level of traditional martial art value to it. Lots of mutual respect, because ultimately at the end of the day, we are all human, and hopefully we're all here to do the best and be the best versions of ourselves that we can, as well as hopefully wish other people the same thing. I I am not in competition with anybody. Hopefully nobody else is in competition with anybody. As far as life in general, I want to see you do good. I want to see this person do good, etc. As long as you're being a good person, I want to see you do good. And that's one of the things of martial art. The martial arts tradition and value. You want to see everybody do good. I mean, even when you go out, if you're interested in competition, you're out sparring somebody, or I come from a competitive breaking world where competitors actually help each other. That is awesome. Even though we're trying to beat each other, we want the best person to win, so we make sure when we're helping each other, we are the best helpers we can be. So now I want you to really take an honest look at your martial arts training, or the system that you're training, or the system that you're teaching, and how many little checks of these 13 can you check off? Most of the time, I would say most of the time we're in line with, here at Cobourg Tae Kwon Do, we're in line with a lot of time, depending on the class that we're teaching. You know, we're hitting 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of those in any particular class, sometimes a little bit less. We don't necessarily hit, with us, we hit them all. I don't think anybody ever hits them all at the same time, but there's certain ones that I make sure we hit every class, and then depending if it's more of a sporting class or a self-defense class or more of a fitness aspect, I make sure we'll, hit certain ones in each one of those classes or in our training session. But be honest with yourself, if you're hitting, 5 or 6 most of the time, then I think you're training legitimately. And again, everybody's gonna have a little more weight on certain ones than other ones as well. It just depends on your system and your style, and again, your goal. Again, I want you to do you, right? Do you. And train for the martial art, train in martial art for what you want. Like, are you self-defense oriented? Are you competition oriented? Are you doing it for fitness? Are you a combination of everything? Again, we try to make sure that we cover everything here at Cobourg Tae Kwon Do. So, if you are in my area of Northumberland County and you want to come check out one of our classes at Cobourg Taekwondo, go ahead and check out cobourgtaekwondo.ca, and then contact us, and we'll hook you up with a free trial class. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a comment below if you agree or disagree with any of the ones I have on the list here. And I will see you in a future video, as well as you can also go over to our second YouTube channel. I have Cobourg Taekwondo's second YouTube channel. We also have, I'm co-founder of Empowered alongside Ma'am Cheryl Sanders, one of our blackout instructors here. Her and I also do women's self-defense and empowerment workshop and training. So go ahead and check out that channel as well if you were to go to youtube.com/empowered8083, or you go to the website womenempowermenttraining.com. I'll put the links in the description below. But in the meantime, make sure you're getting the most out of your martial arts. Do you, and I'll see you soon.